This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Matt Allen, here along with Dave Riccio, and every single Saturday at 11:05 and 50 seconds, we are your KTAR car guys, helping you with your car every single Saturday. So if you have any questions about your car, it doesn't matter what we're talking about on the show today. This show is to help you be in a better comfort zone with the ownership of your car, the maintenance of your car. Perhaps you're selling your car. You think you want to sell your car. You want to buy a new car. You got anything about your car, that's what we're here for. You just give us a call, and we can help walk you through that. Any questions you have, it's 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. And if you'd like to text in, you can do that at 411-923. And that's provided you're not sitting in your car unless you're at a stoplight. Because remember, there's a new...
it's frowned upon.
Frowned upon. Oh, it's always been frowned upon, but they've signed into law a new bill. We can maybe talk about that a little bit later. And, last week we talked about a good way to ruin your car, and that is by driving it with it overheating. A good way to ruin your day is for you to be overheating. And we can help you not overheat yourself by making sure that your air conditioning is working. So we want to help walk you through what to expect maybe when you're going to go to the shop to say, my air conditioning doesn't seem to be blowing very cold, or maybe there's not a lot of airflow, or do I need to do anything with the air conditioner? Dave, I mean, hey, now's the time to stay cool. I always say, hey, we hit our 100 degrees yesterday, I think, for the first time, too. And that's always my barometer in the shop early in the year or late in the prior year. People want to ask things, when do I need to do this? And a lot of times my key is 100 degrees. We need to have a different conversation when it's 100 degrees out.
And if you've been checking the mail lately, I'm sure you've got that, they call it junk mail. You've got a pile of coupons for air-conditioned service on your car. And this is the time of year where you're thinking, hey, maybe I do need an air-conditioned service on my car. So when, Matt, does someone need an air-conditioned service? Do they just sit around and go, it seems to work good, blows cold, car looks good, I look good?
Service on your car. So, things deplete very slowly. You may think that the car is blowing just cold and fine because we bought the car brand new. It was ice cold, but a degree here, another degree. You may not know that it's not working optimum, but I think in most cases you want to have a symptom. I don't think if you have a 3 or 4-year-old car, you need to go and say, hey, I got your coupon for an AC inspection. Go ahead and service my air conditioner. And again, what's an air conditioning service? There's no law. There's nothing that defines.
Right. It's not set up. The term is not set up by the federal government. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good thing, but at the
right
same
now.
time, so you don't need. So it's going to be, in most cases, it's going to be symptom driven. But we've said this before. Now's a good time of year. Trade cars with your spouse for a couple days. I jump in my wife's car and I hear this noise that drives me nuts. Oh, it's done that forever. It needs to be fixed. Or she might jump in my car and go, gosh, your air conditioning's not as good as mine. Well, if you do that and you have that conversation, that might be the trigger to maybe we should maybe we should have it checked. But again, it goes back, do you have a symptom? So, and most people are going to say the classic symptom, and especially this time of year, and it's a classic example of a car being low on charge. You leave for work at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Nice and cool.
It's nice and cool, but you come out of your office, whether you're parked in a garage or parked in the shade or in the sun. It's going to be worse in the sun, but it takes 10 minutes or 5 minutes to cool off. That's a sign that you need a service because you're low on charge.
One of the things that so low, you said low on charge. So when you go into the auto shop and you do, let's say it's just not blowing as cool as you'd like it to, the other problem is maybe air conditioning's not blowing at all. You don't feel any airflow coming out of your dash. That's kind of a different, symptom or problem than an air conditioned service. Those are really two different things, because the air conditioned service, if you're referring to checking the refrigerant level and are we making, the coil nice and cold, that's one thing. The other thing is how well is the air blowing. And Matt, you were talking about when you go to the service counter, really knowing your symptom when you go in there. Is it blowing hot? Is it blowing just ambient air, the temperature around you? Or is it blowing cool but not cold? Or is it not blowing at all? All those things matter when we go do an AC service.
Well, and I think we should remind everybody, and I think a lot of shops out there who listen will thank us for this. Air conditioning service and repair, you can have a multitude of symptoms and the same result, or a multitude of problems that result in the same symptom, in the same generic term of my air conditioning doesn't work or it doesn't cool. And it's oftentimes a two-step process. Sometimes we have to charge the air conditioning system. If it's low on a charge, we need to determine if it's low by evacuating the refrigerant that's in there, measuring it against what's supposed to be in there, trying to identify and repair any leaks. But sometimes we have cars with multiple symptoms. You might bring your car in and say, oh, it just doesn't blow very cold all the time. And it was low on charge and we send you out, and then you come back the next day mad, it's doing the same thing. Well, now maybe the blower doesn't work today, but the blower that moves the air was working fine yesterday. So it can't, or maybe you have a leak that wasn't evident. I tell people you could come back here in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, but we've got some dye in there we can find this to help us find the leak if we can't pinpoint it today.
And then the other thing is, where's the air coming out of? Is it blowing out of the dashboard, like into your face? Is it blowing up by the windshield from the defroster? Is it coming out down on the floor? So that's another thing that comes into play. So when we're at the service counter and you're bringing your car in, we may ask you a series of questions, and you don't have to say, well, you're the mechanic. Can't you figure it out? Well, I'm sure we can, but it'll cost you less just to give us good information.
Well, and you say, and David, even you and I went back and forth on this little comment in the studio. Well, it blows hot. Okay. Well, if it's hot outside, does that? Yeah, of course it blows hot if it's hot, but is it blowing heated air? That's a difference between hot air. Well, if it's hot out, of course it's just blowing hot,
110 degrees.
Or someone's just using that generic term. The opposite of cold is hot. So if it's not blowing cold, therefore it must be hot. But hot, heated air, you may not have an air conditioning problem. You may have a control or you do have a control problem where it's blowing the heated air from the heater, so you might have a blend door issue. Dodge trucks have that problem. The stuff breaks. The air conditioning itself, the mechanical function of pumping the refrigerant.
Making cold coil.
Yeah, cooling the coil so that you can have heat transfer to the cold, and when the air blows across it, that's a whole different, that's just one element of the system. So go ahead.
I was going to say this happens because you made the comment. Today we'll keep it simple at this moment. Talk about the refrigerant part of the deal. Hey, it's not blowing cold, but it's blowing cool, or it's just blowing ambient air. I'm not getting cold air out of it. So we have a charge issue. So someone will go in a shop. They'll get an AC service that we're talking about. They'll put gauges on it. Maybe they'll evacuate it, recharge it. They'll add a dye to it. And a week later, they're at my shop. They say, well, I had them service it. Now it's blowing warm. I don't trust those people, so I'm not going back. Well, actually, AC service can and oftentimes is a two-step process. It could be low just by the natural progress that we lose an ounce or two every year, or it could be low because it sprung a leak. You don't always spot the leaks. We can check the obvious places. Oh, yeah, this hose connection's going to leak, or here, and we like a little sniffer. We got some dye we can check it with. But some leaks we can't see until give it a week and say, hey.
Or sometimes you have the obvious leak. You've got the catastrophic failure. This thing is, or a pattern failure in a car. You open the hood. There's all this oil around the air conditioning hose. Because remember, there's oil in the system. That's critical, and you can see that. You can't see. The other thing is your air conditioning leak. You don't see it. That's an invisible gas. It's just going away. Now, sometimes you get some green dye in there in the oil, and depending on the location, and
I'll be able to see it.
And all the plants
but it's like massive head wounds. You go into the hospital, and they're going to deal with that. They may not catch the cut on your elbow because they're dealing with triage. We've got a big problem over here. And so I've seen what you're talking about when they come in and the manifold hose assembly is leaking. You're like, whoop, got the leak, fix it up, suck it down, juice it up, and a week later it's blowing warm again because you couldn't see the evaporative coil in the center of the dashboard that no one can see was leaking. So you took care of the obvious. Well, you didn't get my car right. No, again, it's one of those things. We got to.
I think the biggest problem there is communication, so that alignment of expectations, really making sure everybody knows what's going on here. So it's really important for the owner of the car to give good information. It's very important for the service advisors and the mechanics to communicate about what they find and let them know that when we're telling and describing what we need to repair, and then also on the pickup is, hey, here's what we've done, but here's what potentially could happen. You need to make sure to call us.
Last summer I saw several come in for AC service because they were disappointed in the performance of the air condition. And the first thing we did was simply change the cabin filter. And then the airflow comes back, and the airflow cools you because there's evaporation off your skin. That's the second part of it. The first part of it is the cold that we make with the AC compressor. So they show up, we change out the cabin filter, and everything works great. The other thing that comes up in the summertime is your electrical system, okay? Because in the summertime, that AC is cranking. If you got like one of these SUVs, you got the front air going, you got the back air going, you got the blowers in the seats going. You're pulling all kinds of juice out of this car. And your alternator's working double time, and this is the time of year where you've got to have a good battery.
You need to have reserves, and not to mention the air conditioner, you've got the electronic magnet holding that clutch, engaging the clutch and the engine, and that takes amperage.
Right.
and if you don't have some amperage stored in your battery and you don't have a good battery with good reserves, you will have a problem.
Every car that comes into my shop, we're usually testing something or just servicing, maintenance, oil change. The first thing we're going to do is check that battery. Nothing wrecks things on a car more than having a wimpy battery and your alternator's doing double time work because the battery's wimpy and all these other things going on. So we come back. We're taking your phone calls at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. We've got Suzanne, we've got Glenn, and we've got Larry. We're talking about car problems or anything you want to talk about. Bumper to Bumper Radio. We'll be right back.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A-plus rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
That's our closing line, Pops.
I know, Jeff. Just reinforcing that we're full-service auto repair.
At Kurt's Auto Repair, we do it all, including diesel. We have the passion, training, equipment, and expertise for diesel. Our techs are ASE certified for diesel and advanced diesel diagnostics. Toy hauling, horse trailering, off-roading, or work trucking, we've got you covered.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's. Check us out at mycarhurts.com.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we're helping you with your car, getting ready for summertime, talking about air-conditioned service, and we brought up the good old cabin filter. And if you lived in Arizona for anything like the time, you've had this experience. Your air conditioning at home, all of a sudden the house is hot, and you're like, what the heck, the air conditioning's broken. You call out the service guy, and, it's kind of a hassle because he's working triple time because it's hot out and everybody's air conditioning is not working. He shows up at the house, he goes and he does all his tests, and he comes back out. He goes, all fixed. Oh, really? What'd you do? Oh, you just had a dirty air filter. So you're feeling a little embarrassed by your dirty air filter. Well, it is exactly the same thing in your car. In your home, what happens, the filter plugs up, you don't get enough airflow across that coil, and it freezes up the coil.
Because there's a little bit of humidity in the air. And what's the air conditioning doing? It's taking the moisture out of the air, too.
So in order for the pressures to stay right, we got to have the right amount of airflow across the condenser up in front of the radiator. We got to have the right amount across the evap coil on the dashboard. And if we're not getting that airflow, it's not going to be working right.
Gosh, Dave, I said let's talk about the cabin air filter a little bit, but we didn't even talk really about the condenser in the front of the car. I mean, I guess we want to keep it simple. I know we're going to have some questions come up about air conditioning, so we can dig into what's the right repair. They called me and said I need XYZ. Why do I need all these parts when just the compressor went bad? But some of the easy things that people can do at home, you can check your cabin air filter in some cases if you want to do that. It's not hard to do. You just have to know how to do it. I always say brain surgery is a piece of cake if you know how to do it.
Yes, Alan, what do you know how to do?
It's all easy if you know how to do it. But when you're washing your car, you can hose out the radiator. Make sure there's not a grocery bag from the freeway sitting up and covering the grill, because all of that air conditioning the key is airflow.
We've got Larry and Glenn, and we're going to go with Suzanne here in a minute, but we're taking your phone calls at 602-277-5827, and I think it's Susan. Sorry about that, Susan. Well, go ahead. Susan's got a 2013 Toyota Rav4. How can we help you?
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
I have two questions. One is, when I first go out in the day, and as a retired person, sometimes it might be around noon, I am maybe going to run an errand, sit down in the car, turn on the engine, turn on the AC, and it's blowing hot air. So my reaction for the last couple of weeks has been to turn it off and sit there and wait, and then turn it on again, still hot air, turn it off, sit there and wait, turn it on again, and by then I'm frustrated and thinking, oh, heck, I'll just go ahead and go. So I roll down the windows, and about up to around a half mile away, I'll try it again. I'll turn on the air, and voila, cool air. And for the rest of the time that I'm running my errands, maybe anywhere from a couple of hours to over 6 hours, every time I come out of a store, hop in my car, turn it on, it's blowing cool air. So is it a switch problem or something?
Well, no, you just, when you get in the car, you just got to say abracadabra. Get that thing working.
Or I can go out and threaten it,
I
right?
was shocked.
Right.
I was shocked that you said that after you've sat for a little while that it's cool again.
Well, only after I drive.
Mm-hmm.
Only after I drive. I can sit there and repeat the process 3 or 4 times sitting in the driveway, and it still blows hot. But after I take off and I'm driving somewhere between a half mile and a mile, I try it again, and the cool air starts working.
Okay. When you say you turn it on and off, are you talking about the little blue AC button, or are you talking about the speed of the fan that you're turning on?
No, not the fan. Just
the
little round AC button in the front.
Okay. Well, Dave, I think Dave and I have a couple thoughts, but my first thought is it may be that. Well, have you turned it on, and how long do you wait before you determine that it's not going to blow cold air and you turn it off again?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. So what I want you to listen for is if you hear any type of engagement when it's not working. Because if you're sitting there idle in the driveway, you hit the button, you should hear some sort of little bit load on the engine, or a click, like a in a lot of cases, now it depends on the car, you're going to hear the compressor clutch engage. And then sometimes it might lower the engine RPM a little bit. You'll feel that load on the engine. And then it's going to take a second to start producing some cold air. But I suspect what you have is your magnetic clutch on the compressor may just not be engaging at that idle. Mm-hmm. Dave, I don't know what you're thinking. Maybe some
it may be an electrical issue. That's going on. The nice thing is it sounds like it's pretty consistent. In other words, it can be replicated. So
Yes.
if I'm putting my test tools on it, I'm like, okay, AC's on, not blowing cold. What is missing? Well, I look down with a flashlight and I see the clutch on the compressor is not engaged. Then I start checking that side of things. But if I look down and it's engaged and the compressor's spinning away and I'm not making cold air, well, then, the gauges are coming out.
And one thing we use for a diagnostic tool in a lot of cars, you turn the air conditioning on, you hit that button, that sends a signal. It's a couple things are happening. The man in charge of the power is saying, air conditioning, turn on the clutch. So we're going to turn the clutch on and engage. It's also saying, hey, engine management system, we're about to add an extra load to the engine. Give me 200 more RPMs of idle. So if you go hit that button and the idle picks up a little bit, but there's no engagement or draw from the AC compressor, that kind of tells you the switches, the system, the logic of the system is working, and maybe your point is just right there at the compressor with the clutch. But I'm rambling right now for a second. I don't know, Dave, want to go on or take one, but what I want to say too is when it gets to be 110 degrees and your car's been sitting outside all day,
that dashboard is heat soaked.
It's going to take a minute to get the cold air to start working. So what you want to do, get in the car, drop the windows. Don't get it on fresh air. You don't want to just be recirculating 150-degree air. And get the car moving. Get some RPMs in the car. That's going to get the compressor working. Depending on the system, if you've got a mechanical fan, it's going to get air flowing across the condenser and the radiator, and it's going to get all that hot air out of the car by driving down the road. Then once that's happening, you've driven maybe a half mile, or close up the windows, get it sealed off and get it back to recirculated air, and that will help you get cool faster.
That's the thing about my drive home from work. I literally live like 6 miles from work, and I got to park in the shade before the end of the day, so I'll move my car around the back of the building so it's got some shade. Because if I don't, by the time I get home, the air condition still really isn't blowing cool. I mean, I can feel a little bit of cool air coming out of it, but the car is so hot from baking in the sun all day long, and I got the swampy tail end, at that point.
So think about, a comment like that. Think about that. Maybe you drive the car and you go out for lunch. I park my car differently in the afternoon than I do in the morning. In the morning, I park facing.
I totally do the same thing.
You just want, and then get the windshield screen, the nice reflective deal. Help keep the inside of the car cool.
The other thing I do when I'm on McClintock and I'm coming up to the 202 and the light's red, I stop short of the actual line for the stoplight by about 100 feet because I want to be in the shade of the bridge.
Oh, I do that all the time. I think it drives people crazy.
Totally. Like, what's wrong with this guy? Is he texting? No, he's waiting in the shade. Doesn't everyone want to wait in the shade? Your car likes to wait in the shade. So, air conditioning it's such a thing. Like, I charged mine last year, charged it up. It was, it was okay, but we hooked the gauges up, put it in, and the next day you get in, it's like, this is nice. It's one of those things you can't live without in this town.
No, it's tough.
I had a 265 most of my time growing up, 2 windows, 65 miles an hour.
Right.
I had a little spray bottle, like from the bathroom. I'd spray my face, just to cool down a little bit.
I can picture you, a little metrosexual Dave with his little fan and a little misting system.
I drove a Jeep, and your back would be just sweaty as heck when you got to wherever you're going. So I'd take my shirt off, get there, put my shirt back on. It was a whole system.
Yeah,
surviving.
You thought you were cool too, didn't you?
Oh, I still am. I still am.
Well, at least you had the evaporative cooling happening. At least if it's not humid outside, you can be driving along and sweat a little bit, and it's not so horrible. But it's good to be that time of year. Nobody's going to be happy when their air conditioning system in the car is not working. You're going to be grumpy at work. You're going to be grumpy at home. So
I think that's one of the most frustrating things for you. You took your car to the shop. You got it charged up. It's working great. It's nice and cold, and then 3 days later, it's not working again. You're grouchy, and you may go into the shop, open up both barrels, So they're really doing the best they can. We come back, Glenn, Larry, Dennis, and we're helping you with your car at 602-277-5827. We'll be right back.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
Some say one of the worst sounds you can hear is a car crash.
Yes, and all the stress that goes with that can be worse.
The accident is stressful enough. The repair process doesn't have to be. Hi, this is Kevin,
Dave,
and Leo,
and we're the collision team at Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Individually, we own Campus Body Salon, I-17 Collision, and First Class Auto Body. Together, we're an unbeatable team working for you, not the insurance company, to get your job done right. Check us out at bumpertobumperradio.com.
Here's what Carrie from Tempe had to say about her experience with Good Works Auto Repair.
As soon as you realize, I need to get some work done on my car, I'm sure the thought occurs to you that you're about to get taken for a ride. I used to share the same sentiment and wondered if the shop was going to make something up and have me spending hundreds of dollars instead of $30 I was planning on for a simple oil change. This is one of the reasons I will only go to Good Works Auto Repair. Because I trust them. Putting trust in an auto shop didn't come easily. It's been built over several visits with them doing exactly what was needed, not coercing me into unnecessary work. Ask them for an oil change and a safety inspection, they do just that. No baloney, list of filters, belts, and whatchamacallits that need replacing on my new car. Thank you, Good Works Auto Repair, for being there for me when I need you.
Appreciate the kind words. It's always a pleasure. Glenn Hayward here. Come experience what award-winning auto service should be. Good Works Auto Repair in Tempe, or visit us at goodworksautorepair.com.
Arizona's news station.
KTAR. On air, 92.3 FM. Online at KTAR.com. And streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
KTAR News time is 11:30. I'm Nailea Leon. A big winter of rain and snow has left only about 5% of the state in drought right now. But Mark O'Malley with the National Weather Service says we've reached the time of the year when people are going to have to be very careful with anything that can touch off fire.
You can just see all the wildflowers and grass that grew late in the winter has now really begun to dry out, then turn into potentially fuel for fires.
Weekend highs will be in the mid to upper 90s with humidity between 10 to 15%. And San Luis High School in Yuma is reportedly requiring parents to provide a state-issued ID in order to enroll their kids. The ACLU of Arizona says this is illegal and is asking the school to drop the policy. Now let's check in with traffic. Here's Mike Daniels in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
The I-10 eastbound remains closed right between 67th and 51st Avenue due to roadwork. You use McDowell or the 101. It's an alternate. Now, this closure in effect till 4 a.m. Monday morning. And we got a wreck in Avondale on Dysart Road just south of the I-10 to watch out for. This traffic report brought to you by Smokey's Garage Door. Is your garage door squeaking, rattling, or just not working? The pros at Smokey's Garage Door will get you back on track fast. Free estimates and same-day service available. Just click Smokey'sGarageDoor.com. I'm Mike Daniels, KTAR News.
Clear sunny skies today across the valley. We are starting to see the temps going up. Right now we are in the mid 80s. Some of them are already seeing the temps into the high 90s. For this afternoon we have a high of 98 degrees, possibly into the hundreds. Tonight we will cool down with a low of 68 degrees. Right now it's 89 in Mesa. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. I'm Nailea Leon on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
And Gatos get deserving Valley teachers paid when you help KTAR News pay tribute to a teacher. Text teacher to 411-923 and nominate an outstanding teacher who you know raises the bar for education in Arizona. Mac and Gatos will pick one of the teachers that you nominate each month for a $1,000 payday. Help a fantastic teacher get $1,000 when Mac and Gatos pay tribute to a teacher. Text teacher to 411-923 now.
Hi, Dave Riccio, owner of Tri-City Transmission and co-host of Bumper to Bumper Radio. Someday you're going to have to spend some money on your transmission. Maybe it's just maintenance, like an oil and filter change. Or maybe your transmission has developed a small leak. Or it could be that the transmission has failed and needs to be overhauled. You're going to want it done right and at a fair price. You're also going to want the shop to be in business 14 months later if a problem arises. At Tri-City Transmission Auto Repair, we can do all that and so much more. From old Buicks to BMWs and Porsches, to CVTs and the new 8-speed automatic transmissions. Other shops may tell you they can't give you a price until they disassemble the transmission. At Tri-City Transmission and Auto Repair, we don't do that. We're capable of telling you the top, the bottom, and the average. This is from our experience of doing thousands of transmission overhauls over the last 4 decades. Find out more at TriCityTransmission.com. That's TriCityTransmission.com.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20+ years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
It's back. The 8th annual Bunker to Bunker Memorial Day Play and Stay Golf Tournament benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital is Saturday, May 25th at the historic Wigwam Resort. The famous 2-person scramble on the award-winning Gold Course is loaded with special prizes, awards, lunch, and even includes a coupon for a second round of golf, all for just $90. Better yet, make it a staycation with room night special starting at just $139 per night. Come make your Memorial Day weekend memorable. Space is limited. Register today at bunkergolf.com.
This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and together we are your KTAR car guys every Saturday from 11 to noon. The other thing that Bumper Radio is, it's a network of auto repair shops that support this show. Those are auto repair shops that Matt and I would carte blanche say, go there, you'll be in good hands. Good shops. There's a list of shops all over the valley. The website is bumper2bumperradio.com. And one of the things that I see people make a mistake of when it comes to auto service or auto repair or taking their car in is they're orphan customers. They go to this shop because they got their coupon, and next week they go to that shop because they got their coupon in the mail, or they go here, they go there, and it's like taking your kid to a different pediatrician every time. You wouldn't do that. You want a doctor who kind of knows him, has his file, all that stuff. That's what you want to do with auto repair. It really relieves the anxiety to have a relationship with an auto repair shop. Again, you can find it at bumper2bumperradio.com. A couple of good shops. They're all over the valley, but I'll highlight the ones in Phoenix. In North Phoenix, we've got Kurt Morgan with trying to blank on
Shadow Mountain Auto Care.
Sorry, Kurt. Shadow Mountain Auto Care. I grew up in that neighborhood right there at 32nd Street in Shea, and anytime I bump into old neighbors, they go, "Oh yeah, I go to Kurt. Shadow Mountain, they're great." So, great auto shop. Kurt's really involved in the industry. He sits on the Automotive Review Advisory Board with Matt. What?
You're having some problems with.
I am having some problems.
Auto Repair Advisory Committee.
Yes, exactly. So then the other one is Virginia Auto Service. I was going to say they're good, but I'm mad at Matt at this moment, so forget Virginia Auto Service. Don't go there unless you got an air conditioning problem. You can go there.
I'm not sure what to think of that one, Dave. I don't know if I should thank you. It's like
you can thank me later.
That was almost like the Yelp review that the people put out in front of their sandwich shop. Don't come here. We have the worst sandwich in the world.
It's terrible. Terrible.
So and it's funny. Kurt and I. We Dave, you're on the Better Business Bureau Advisory Committee as well with us, and man, he's passionate.
Oh yeah.
We spent some time.
He gets fired up.
Kurt and Jim and I spent 6 probably hours reviewing some cases on a woman who kind of got slowly boiled over a long period of time, and man, he gets heated. Kurt has a very strong ethics grounding to. That he runs that business by, so it's great to be involved with.
For sure.
With people like him. So.
Well, let's go with Glenn in Phoenix. He's got a 2007 Chevrolet 1500. How can we help you, Glenn? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Well, I got an engine problem. It's hard for me to figure out, but it's not really that. It's pretty serious. I go to work about 3 o'clock in the morning. And once I leave the house, after warming up the truck for about 5 minutes, about a mile down the road, I have a big knocking sound with on the engine on how fast, depending like 1,000 RPM to 2,000 RPM. It's how fast the knocking is going. My oil level's fine. The oil pressure was fine, but it only lasts about a minute and a half, and then it goes away slowly. It doesn't do it every day, but the last couple of days, like 2 days ago, it did it. Yesterday it didn't do it, and then today it did it again. And I'm kind of afraid that it's going to, probably pop out a piston or something bad's going to happen. I'll be on the side of the road.
Have you ever in the driveway, you say, I start the car up 3 in the morning, I let it idle for 5 minutes, and I take off, mile down the road, it starts making this noise. Have you ever pulled over and lifted the hood and just listened to the motor and see if it, is it coming from the top of the motor, is it coming from the bottom of the motor, anything like that?
I did. It sounded like it was coming from the left side of the motor. I couldn't tell. It was pretty loud. I couldn't tell if it was coming from the top or the bottom. But that's all I can.
And what engine is that? The 5.3 liter?
Yeah, I got the 5.3, the flex fuel.
How many miles are on that vehicle?
I got about 125, almost 125.
I hate to speculate, but that's all we can do without hearing the noise, experiencing it, and being present. I mean, even hearing it by a recording may or may not be helpful because you really need full context. But Dave, I had a friend that had a Yukon Denali, and it had this intermittent, horrible noise, and it had bad lifters.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would just scream, and other times they wouldn't. So
yeah, those AFM motors. That's kind of right in that.
Yeah. You're in that range of failure where a lot of those engines had camshaft and lifter problems. And so you're really just going to need to get somebody to hear it that has the ear and the experience to understand what's happening inside that engine, or if it really truly is coming from inside the engine.
Yeah, noises can be funny, and there's a lot of things spinning the same RPM of the motor, but it sounds like it's a knocking noise. I mean, that's some of the first thing I start to think about.
Yeah.
If he had a broken valve spring or something, it would be consistent. But it doesn't have anything like that. But so anyway, going to need to get into a shop, Glenn, and have somebody listen to it and see which side of things it's coming from. If you're looking for a good shop, bumpertobumperradio.com. Let's go with Dennis in Phoenix. He's got a 2019 Ford F-150. How can we help you, Dennis? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yeah, hey, Matt, I've been using your shop since the Mecca Lounge was your waiting room.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Dennis. Did you play golf today?
Yeah, you know me, okay.
Well.
Yeah, anyway, I bought the brand new 2019 F-150, and it's got that automatic start-stop. As fragile as batteries are here, is that a good idea to let that thing go like that, or should I just manually turn it off?
Well, you can if you want to. A lot of people, it just takes time getting used to that.
It's a little unnerving at first.
It's just strange. And I didn't have my first experience with those, until a couple years ago over in Europe. And this time of year when it's getting hot, you might not enjoy the air conditioning as much on the car. It doesn't work as well. But the system is aware of that. And the battery technology in there is a little bit different. I'm sure that has an absorbed glass mat battery, which it's just a better battery. It can handle that. The starters are a totally different
way better
starter now. They've
a lot less draw.
These. I mean, there's. I'm sure we're going to find some problems with them over the years. They're going to develop, and certain cars are going to have certain failures. But I think these things have been going on in Europe for a lot longer than they have here. So it's up to you. If you want to get the fuel mileage, turn it off or leave it on. But if you want to have the better air conditioning, and if you just can't wrap your head around it, just bypass. I mean, I think they automatically go, you have to turn it off each time, but they're programmed to always be set to start-stop. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, the cars, in order to achieve better emissions ratings with the governmental agencies and achieve overall just efficiency guidelines, it's called start-stop technology. So what's happening when you pull, and you probably hear it now if you're ever with your windows down.
Yeah, the car next to you car just died.
Are starting up. And so they're just turning the cars off at the intersections, and they're very sensitive. You're sitting there in your automatic transmission car, you've got your foot on the brake, and it will just shut off. It's kind of weird to feel the first time it happens. But as soon as you let off some brake pressure, those things are spot on. They start the car right back up, and bam, you go.
Well, Dennis, thanks for the call. We're going to go with Peter in Gilbert. He's got a 1995 Toyota 4Runner. How can we help you, Pete? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Good morning. Another day in paradise.
Yeah, for sure.
This Toyota 4Runner has a shredded timing belt. I looked up some of the kits on the Internet. Should I stay with OE equipment or anything? Something with 2-year warranty, AutoZone.
It hasn't.
O'Reilly.
It's not broken. It's just shredding and deteriorating.
Yeah, it's starting to fall off the pulley.
Wow.
Okay.
Hasn't jumped timing yet.
Well, don't let it do that. You're going to be having a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I know.
I know that. That's a new motor.
So you're doing this. You're doing the job yourself.
No.
Oh, you're not.
I need to find a mobile mechanic to swing by the house and do it.
Well, why would you do that? Why don't you call the tow truck, and you call them up and you say, hey, I need to get my car towed over to H&I Automotive. See what happens, Pete? You're going to call and you get. I want to answer your question first, I guess.
Okay.
If you're going to get a timing belt kit, you want to stick with a good quality kit. The Continental or Contitech makes a kit, and you can get it with a water pump and everything. Gates makes a kit. The most factory kit that you might find for yours would be an ASIN brand, but you just get the whole kit. And then all kits, I mean, Continental makes a professional series, and they make a black series. The difference is $100, but what's the difference besides $100? The water pump's different. It's it's got lower quality bearings for the idlers and stuff like that. But Pete, I want to talk about your comment about a mobile mechanic. You're going to buy the parts. Some guy, you don't know the guy, I got to find a guy is what you said. So you're going to find some stranger that you don't know his qualifications, you don't know anything about him. He's going to come out and he's going to install this thing in your driveway, and hopefully he does it right. But what happens if there's a problem? Then what? Are you gonna is that guy going to show up? Is there going to be a warranty? Maybe you have a part failure from that kit, and they're going to say, "Hey, who did the install for you?" I don't know, some dude I found on Craigslist. Oh,
Well, the other thing,
separation of responsibility.
Yeah, the other thing I don't like about, and there's great mobile mechanics, I'm sure, but also it's just fundamentally, if I'm in my shop and something breaks, or I need an extra this or an extra that, I've got 9,000 square foot worth of stuff. I'm going to be able to handle your car. I got computers everywhere. I got scanners everywhere. If I'm a mobile guy and I need that little widget to make the car work right there on a Friday afternoon, and I look at my truck, it's not in there. I don't have access to as much stuff.
Yeah, just rig it up. It'll work. I don't know this guy. I'm down, man.
Shoehorn it in there. It's not a very established practice, and it's funny because their labor rate is a whole lot less than going to shop, but actually they're kind of sort of providing you a higher level of service because they're coming to you, but are they really? Right. So it's a little bit, it seems like it doesn't really, I hear, things not as good, but I mean, that's a big job to be doing in a driveway, to be quite frank with you. I mean, I personally like working in shade. I want to have a vap cooler blowing on my back at least.
Right.
So anyway.
Anyway, go to bumpertobumperradio.com, find a shop close to you. Maybe you can't find one. Find the next closest one and say, guys, I'd really like to come to you, but can you make a recommendation? We all know other people that can help, and you'll get some help that way. I think you end up with a better job and better satisfaction for yourself.
For sure. When we come back, we've got Janet, we've got Leroy, and we've got John. You're listening to Matt and Dave, your KTAR car guys on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
What's the right call after a car accident? Hi, Leo Petrozello for Campus Auto Body Salon. I invite you to check us out online and see why so many people have made us their first call following their accident. Bumper to Bumper Radio approved, 5-star rated with Yelp and CarWise.com, and A+ rated by the BBB. Make your first call the right call to Campus Auto Body Salon. Check us out online at campusbodysalon.com. Serving the Valley since 1973. Campus Auto Body Salon, the best care in collision repair.
Honesty and integrity, it's the only option. Hi, Spencer Doucet for H&I Automotive. H is for honesty and I is for integrity. We built our business on these two principles.
Hi, this is Danny Grant.
And I'm Paul Garcia.
We're Spencer's business partners. Originally, we were customers that were referred by friends to check out this great shop in Mesa. We saw for ourselves how special the experience was at H&I.
Yep, we went from raving fans to good friends to enthusiastic partners when Spencer was looking to expand his business to the East Valley.
Thanks, guys. The overwhelming support from our customers, families, and partners has allowed us to celebrate the opening of our second, brand new, state-of-the-art location in Gilbert. 2 locations, same principles. Quality service at a great value that you can count on for all your automotive needs. Backed with an industry-leading 60-month, 60,000-mile parts and labor warranty. We invite you to check us out at HNIautomotive.com.
There is nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock here for Kurt's Auto Repair. I brought my nephew and general manager, Jeff Rock, to help spread the word.
Thanks, Pops. Yep, the more things change, the more they stay the same at Kurt's. Family owned and operated, our ASE Master Techs and family ethics have earned us a Perfect Better Business Bureau record for over 30 years. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue in Bell, or online at mycarhurts.com.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic, if your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, welcome back to Bumper Radio, where we're helping you with your car every Saturday from 11 to noon. You can find us 24/7 at bumpertobumperradio.com. If you missed a part of the show or you heard something we talked about and you're like, what did they say? I want to go back to that. You can find that on our website, bumpertobumperradio.com. There's all the shows are there. If you want to find the show where Matt made a mistake and play it over and over again, I do that from time to time.
It'll be hard to find. Doesn't happen often.
That was the mistake. Anyway, we've got Janet, we've got Leroy, and we got John. We're going to go with John in Fountain Hills. He's got a 2004 Mercury Montero. How can we help you, John? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey there, guys. I'm going to make it quick because I'm driving right now. But my question is
breaking the law.
Crap. I'll try to make it quick. Got the Montero and went in, took it in for air conditioning work the other day. They say it needs a hose, and I think it's a high-pressure hose. They said $800 just for the hose. Is that unreasonable?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Ford and Mercury have a habit of discontinuing parts. And I think so that could have something to do with it. I think maybe they didn't. And people say, a hose.
You're saying hose alone, no labor, just for the hose itself, $800.
Just the hose, $799.
Just for the part. Well, it's completely plausible, and I wouldn't be 100% surprised. That's probably a manifold hose assembly. So a lot of people listening going, $800 for a hose, and they can picture a piece of rubber. I got a garden hose at $29.99 or a radiator. It's probably a manifold hose assembly. It's got bent aluminum and it's crimped, and then it goes into a flexible piece, then another piece of aluminum, and maybe it has a pressure switch built into it. So you could shop, and sometimes those can be fixed too. I mean, in all fairness.
And when they discontinue parts, that's what we end up doing is getting them fixed.
Yeah, see, what someone would do, and it adds, and especially in Fountain Hills, that may be logistically part of the problem. I don't think there's a hose repair shop within 30 miles of Fountain Hills. So what we might do in a case like that in my shop, we take that hose off, and it's this octopus of hose. Take it to a specialty shop. They cut the rubber out of it, crimp new lines onto it, and re-repair because the aluminum doesn't go bad.
Mm-hmm.
The manifold part doesn't go bad. But then sometimes those are more difficult to install because they're not lined up exactly just right. So it could just be, the one way to find out, John, call the dealer. Call them with your VIN number. Call the parts department. Say, I want to buy this part.
How much?
How much? Is it available?
For sure, that's good. Let's go with Janet in Glendale. She's got a 64 Ford wagon. How can we help you, Janet? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yes, sir. I have a 1964 Ford Fairlane ranch wagon. It is pretty much restored, but it is not show quality and never will be. It is not completely stock. I have changed from a generator to alternator, added AC, and so on. The carburetor is about shot. And I was wondering what your thoughts were about converting it to TBI injection.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very, very difficult to start in the wintertime and so on. I'm looking for reliability. It is a daily driver.
Wow. Dave?
Well, I was thinking, finding somebody that's going to be willing to take on a job like that may be a little hard to come by. There's some shops that kind of, like ADS, Automotive Diagnostic. I could see those guys doing a TPI. It's not going to be a cheap thing to do.
I know that.
It's going to be expensive. It does certainly work a whole lot better than the old carburetor. I mean, carburetors is old
I've
technology.
I've been quoted anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500.
Oof, that even seems a little low to me, to be quite honest with you, Janet. Dave Denman over at Dave's Car Care has been. It showed me some cars. He did a bunch of work on this old '69 Firebird, some restoration work, and an older Corvette. You may consider. I don't know who's been working on the car all these years, Janet. You sound quite astute when it comes to the, to the car and its operations. but you may consider just letting somebody take a shot at getting that carburetor all set up right. And maybe it's time for a carb overhaul and a proper, good, thorough repair. I don't know if $2,500 is enough to put fuel injection on the car. I mean, I just don't know. So it may be worth another shot at that carburetor. Maybe give Dave's a try. They're over. You're in Glendale. He's at 51st and Peoria. Might be worth stopping in and seeing the guys.
You can make them work pretty good. I mean, the one thing about carburetors anymore is a lot of them rebuilt so many times. They've been rebuilt, and some guys rebuild them with a hatchet. So, but there is some good carburetor shops here in town. But see Dave's, he'll get you in the right place. That'll be your best bet. Good luck with that, Janet.
Looks like it's Leroy and Pinal with the 2015 Chevy Spark. It's that little tiny car, isn't it, Leroy?
What?
That's a little car, isn't it? Is that
it
all?
Sure is.
And it's all electric, right?
It's all electric,
Yeah.
and I'm an older senior, and I love it so far. I bought it from an electrical engineer.
Oh boy!
Who replaced it with another car. His wife drives a Tesla.
Okay.
And 25 years ago, he gave me some LED light bulbs that he was testing.
For sure. Hey, Leroy, how can we help you here? We're just coming up on the end of the show. What can we do for you?
I'm just wondering what your thoughts are. I've never heard you talk about electric cars.
Okay, well.
So far, I like it.
The only reason I knew about the Spark is because I rode in one over in San Diego the first part of March in an Uber ride. And I think it's all personal preference. Mm-hmm. I mean, retired guy kind of cruising around small area, don't ever have to put gas in the car, and you can plug it in and be juiced up and ready to go all the time. Hey, great. I mean, hybrid over electric. You've got the all electric. We were up at Scottsdale Porsche last weekend talking. They've got the new. It was called Mission E, I think, but it actually has the right name. It has its name for their all electric car.
Well, as time goes on, I think we'll see more and more of it. It's
electrification.
It still obviously has its limitations. If it didn't, you'd see all electric cars, but they certainly have limitations, like when you run out of power halfway to San Diego. It's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be a fit for your lifestyle for sure.
And if you want to drive your Tesla to San Diego, I hope you like Carl's Jr. because that's where the charge station is, For
sure. Well, we're glad you could join us. Don't forget to join us next week for how good maintenance saves you money when it comes to auto repair. If you're looking for a good, friendly, honest, competent shop, you can find them at bumpertobumperradio.com. We're there. Be sure to join the Bumper to Bumper family on Facebook. Remember never to text and drive. It's a law now. From all the shops at Bumper to Bumper Radio, have a safe weekend.